Hey guys, welcome to this tutorial on Python programming. In this tutorial, let's talk about variables and functions in Python. So if I want to declare a variable in Python, all I have to do is define a name of that variable, either using camel case syntax or any other type of syntax. So if I'm using camel case syntax, I can just say first name is equal to. So Python doesn't use semicolons, so don't give semicolons when programming with Python. Now, if I want to just declare the variable, I cannot just declare the variable in Python here like that. Okay, I have to use the none keyword to just declare the variable without initializing that variable. So, right, so this is how you declare a variable in Python. Let's declare a few more variables. So let's declare last name. This time I will call it Oliver. Let's declare email. This time I'm going to call it jack.oliver@gmail.com. Let's declare contact number, and this time I'll just give some random numbers here. So what exactly I am doing here is I have declared now 4 different variables, and out of these variables one variable doesn't have a value. So how do we print these variables now in Python? So to print these variables, we'll use the print method, and let's pass the first name, last name variable, email variable, and contact number variable as arguments to the print method. And let's go ahead and run this code. Alright, so you can see that none is getting printed in the first variable because we did not initialize any value and we use the none keyword for that variable, whereas all the other variables we are able to print. Right, so the print method is again an inbuilt method in Python programming, and we use this method for debugging or to print data to the Python console, right? And it definitely takes multiple arguments. You can also pass directly hard code any data, right, inside the print method, and it will still print values for you. So let's now go ahead and see functions. So functions in Python can be declared using the def keyword. So I will use the def keyword as a prefix, and then I will define a function. So function is user defined, so I can say display info as the name of this function. And notice what is happening. It is indenting to this line. So if I write it over here, I am going to get an error, right? This is not allowed in Python. So Python doesn't use curly brackets to close a block of code, but it uses indentation. So I have to indent the code to tell the Python that this block of code belongs to this function. So now if I want to call this function, let's call this function, right? I can call this function inside the print method, and let's run. You can see hello is getting returned from this function. So let me change the value. So we'll say hello from display info. Now if I run this, now the value is hello from display info. So remember that functions can also take arguments, so we can also hard code any arguments that we want, but a few best practices would be to pass variables as arguments to this function. So let's say this variable, which is first name and last name, I want to pass it to this function. So let's pass these variables to this function. Now if I want to print these variables inside the return, I can use the string literals with f over here, right? And that's exactly how they work. So let me try again. Okay, so what I have done here, I have used f. So f basically is nothing but a string literal that you can use to format data in Python. And let's print this. Okay, we are missing a curly bracket. Now let's run it again. Okay, instead of returning, let me try to print it. Alright, so the problem here is when we are calling this function displayInfo, we are not passing these variables. So let's pass these variables and let's run this again. And you can see that none Oliver and none Oliver is getting printed from this function. Right now, as I'm printing this statement inside the function, I don't have to call the print method now. I can just call the displayInfo. Okay, a function we can call multiple times. So if I call it 3 times, it's going to print the output 3 different times. Okay, moving on. If you look at all my variables, I don't have a data type over here. So Python will automatically assign a data type by looking at the value of the variable. So you don't have to worry about the data type. So suppose if I create a Boolean, so Python is going to understand that this is a Boolean, and let's print this variable out. Okay, and it's going to understand that it's a Boolean as it's a dynamically typed programming language, and you don't have to worry about the type. So this is basically a string variable, this is a Boolean variable, and this is a number, or we can say int variable in Python.